Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Maitri and I'm kind of new to tabletops, but I'm very passionate about it. I have played with a lot of different players, different GMs, different systems, and I continue to do so, and I'm learning a lot. I'm learning how to be a better GM, a better player, and a better person. And I want to share some of the cool stuff with you that I'm learning that I think you might like. Uh, Purpose here is to talk about different concepts that exist in pretty much any system and see if there are ways that you can incorporate it into your own game and your own playstyle. Today, I am going to be talking to you guys about running horror games. I fucking love horror. I love running horror games. I love playing in horror games. So I've taken the time to play in a bunch of horror games, run several, and talk to GMs that I think are really good at running games in general and running horror in specific. Talk to players about what really lands with them, and I'm really committed to being a good horror GM, so I'm doing whatever I can to kind of move in that direction. So today I want to share 5 things with you that I think will really up your horror game because they really have upped mine. Number 1, explicitly ask for buy-in and fewer jokes specifically. Nothing kills horror like people laughing and joking at the table, which is a totally normal thing to do when you're spending a few hours with friends, especially if you've just come off of a long day of work, like you just want to take a load off, that's completely normal. But if you really want your horror game to land, you need buy-in from your players to help in creating that horror ambiance. So you should specifically and explicitly say at the start of the session, listen guys, okay, for the next few hours, we're gonna keep the jokes and laughing to a minimum so that we can create that horror atmosphere. Number 2, sort of tangentially related to number 1, short games. 1 to 3 sessions at most, 3 to 4 hours per session. My theory is that for horror to land well, it really requires more immersion and buy-in than most other genres. And if you're gonna ask your players to have that level of seriousness, that's not something you can reasonably ask more than a couple times. And I'm not talking about sort of games that have a generally dark atmosphere, like, Curse of Strahd for D&D, or like a campaign in the Shadow of the Demon Lord universe, or Vampire, even, like, that have generally dark themes. I'm talking about like haunted house, finite space, like horror, like a Bluebeard's Bride, for example. Number 3, use evocative descriptions that engage multiple senses. Write out descriptions for yourself. I'm gonna give a content warning here. I'm gonna give a horror description to show what I mean. So just a heads up. Low melancholy music with the occasional discordant note draws you down this corridor with peeling paint on the walls. Eventually, you find yourself at a door which has music coming from behind it. You put your ear to the door, gingerly, carefully, and it's icy cold. As you take a moment to listen, the discordant note is accompanied by the soft sobbing of a woman. The smell of roses wafts into your nostrils, except it isn't fresh and fragrant like it ought to be. It's the saccharine, sweet smell of rotting flowers. So yeah, write it out. Makes a huge difference. Basically, what I just described is you walking down the corridor, you hear some music, you hear where the music is coming from behind the door. When you put your ear up to the door, you hear a woman crying on the outside. But if you amp up the description of that process, like that's where you can kind of build that foreboding and that sense of unease. Which takes me to my next point, number 4. Take your time. Dread comes from the pauses, from waiting for the other shoe to drop. I am kind of a naturally fast talker. My disability has made me kind of slow down in a little while, but like I'm very chatty, and so this in particular is kind of challenging for me. But like all I need to do is be contextually slow to what I normally would speak like, because people who know me and know the cadence of my speech will know when I'm letting silence just hang in the air. It's unsettling, and there's instantly a okay, something's off kind of vibe, and that's what you want. That general sense of unease really amps everything up, because they're constantly like on guard about everything, even though there might not be anything to be on guard about. But yeah, so you want to build that sense of unease. Number 5, safety tools. Ask about X cards, lines, and veils well ahead of time. Horror has a lot of big trigger points, and for some reason, no, I mean, I know the reason, but let's be generous and say for some reason, people are not really comfortable saying they don't like horror as a genre. Generally speaking, and painting with very broad strokes, some of them feel like there is a weakness associated with not being able to take something that is meant to be uncomfortable. I could do a whole other video about that, and maybe I will. But basically, it comes down to a lot of people, mostly men, they sign up for horror games and they'll be really uncomfortable with various elements of it and not have a good time. And so asking people ahead of time, privately especially, if you are able to, like obviously at con games you're kind of limited on these interactions, but I'm talking about games in your personal life, if that wasn't clear. But for those games, if you can engage sort of ahead of time to find out lines of veils, that kind of thing, it really allows you as the GM to kind of know where everyone's levels are. Like, my brand of horror is pretty viscerally descriptive body horror. Bodies that should not be, things that are organic that have no business being organic, things like that. So a lot of people find that uncomfortably squeaky rather than fun squeaky. And if I can identify that ahead of time, it allows me to get that other person to, either have a resilience during the game and sort of like make an informed decision if that's the right game for them or what. Like, I can tell them, like, listen, like, body horror is fundamentally the way that I run horror, so maybe this isn't the right game for you. And at that point, like, the player can kind of decide how they want to move forward, and it really is up to them. You are giving them that option, and you should always give them that option. But the other part is maybe they have like something a little more specific where like, I'm really not okay with stuff around the mouth. Like I have a thing about like dental stuff and teeth stuff, or like I'm really like icky about like injections and needles. Like, alright, those are specific things that I can remove without it impacting sort of broader story. Thank you for telling me, and thank you for allowing me to try and create a game where you can join us and have fun with us. So you want to give them nightmares, but like you also love them. So, balance. So yeah, talk to players ahead of time, because like ultimately the point is for everyone to have fun. So let's make sure people are enthusiastically consenting to having this shit scared out of them. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.